Hey, we got people coming in. Rob, I know you're in an airport now. Do you want to share with everybody what airport as everybody's getting in?
Um, yeah, Orlando, MCO.
Okay. So you're coming out of NAMBA, right?
I'm coming out of the National Association of Minority Mortgage Bankers Association. Whatever the catchy catchphrase is for the name of the conference, but it was a conference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was good. It was good. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's not the jet, it's not the gangplank or the jetway. It's like a causeway between the hub where the train shows up and the gates. So
Well,
yeah, I couldn't find a quiet room, so you get to watch people. We'll see if they like are photo bombing. You
it'll
know,
be
so somebody behind me going,
fun. I'll let you know. We'll start to count them. Maybe we can make a game out of it this
yeah.
afternoon.
So somebody behind me holding up a big John 3:16 sign.
Yeah, anything like that. A few waves.
Let me know.
They're actually probably used to people taking conference calls in the airport.
Yeah, there are other people off camera doing exactly that.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, we are happy that you're able to join us this afternoon. Apparently, I could not have a full sentence there. I apologize.
And here's opening so this is not actually coffee.
What is it?
It's rosé.
It's rosé. So you're having a glass of wine while we're
Yeah, the people I was with before I came here at the place, like, yeah, but I needed a to-go cup, and this is what the bartender provided. Was I was actually one of the people was with Dave Stevens, the ex-NBA prez, and I had breakfast this morning with Mitch Keider. You know, dropping names.
that
There you
sounds
go.
amazing with your rosé coffee.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll go ahead and get going as it looks like kind of everybody's getting in at this point. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Melissa Langdale, President and COO of the Mortgage Collaborative. As always, joined by Rob Chrisman, kind of partner in crime for the rundown. And we're going to have some fun this afternoon, just kind of talking about conference season and kind of the pulse of what's going on in the industry. And so happy to have you guys all with us today. Yeah, as always, if you have not subscribed to our TMC Connect podcast or YouTube channel, please do. But Rob, I'd love to kind of hear about NAMBA a little bit. I know you mentioned you were there for those that just joined us. Can you kind of go into some of the big takeaways from the event?
Yeah, so it was well attended. There were a lot of non-white people there. How's that? Is that politically incorrect to say? Hope not. But it was, I mean, it's minority mortgage bankers, so it was nice to talk to people and hear their take and see what they were excited about and hear their approach to lending and get their thoughts and opinions about the current environment. And obviously that segment of not only the industry but also borrowers is underwhelming in terms of participation. So if you look at the typical company, if I go to I mean, the last week has been quite a travel week for me with Dallas and Jackson, Mississippi, and Birmingham, Alabama, and Nashville, and then Chicago, and then down to here. And so I've got my fill of Applewood smoked bacon. Although I think you got pecan smoked bacon in Nashville, but nonetheless, the the minority employee representation is somewhat light still. And obviously their target is how do we get more minority borrowers involved and educated that you don't need 20% down and so forth, and how you can build wealth by owning a home. And so that was kind of the big thrust of this event was, how do we do that? How best to do that? And I was on a panel this morning with attorney Mitch Kiter and Dave Stevens, the ex-president of the NBA. And then we also did a luncheon special to answer questions and talk about current events and so forth. And it's not a great environment out there, as everybody on this call probably can attest to, but maybe not for the reasons that you might think about. So, Dave definitely has the banks are going to potentially have their capital structure change with regard to owning mortgage-backed securities, and that will throw off their current appetite for MBS, and so that's a big worry for him. For Mitch, the big worry is the CFPB and lawsuits and regulators and redlining, and he says that the CFPB will continue to look at these things and take a harsh stance on especially repeat offenders when it comes to some of these issues. So it isn't so much just, oh my, the interest rates stink, or oh my, there's no inventory. It's some very substantive issues that are out there kind of underlying the system that most people don't think about, and that we could be seeing some pretty dramatic changes coming up, and maybe not all for the good. But Mitch definitely thinks, the Department of Justice, today, for example, in my commentary, I had a paragraph that Ken Perry from the Knowledge Coop sent over about that every broker should be paying attention to what happened with Freedom and the CFPB and marketing, and ignore that at your own risk. So there's a lot going on in the background that typical originators don't see that could be in the headlines coming up.
Yeah. So obviously you just mentioned, in the paragraph you had in your kind of newsletter this morning, talked about kind of MSAs and really one of the reasons that Freedom was fined as much as they are. They had provided, a statement from the CFPB said that there was, there were things given of value that weren't kind of substantiated, I guess, or documented in some way, shape, or form. And we talked a little bit about that when Director Chopra was with us in Nashville as well. I think their eyes are on this. It's interesting to hear that NAMBA is also obviously, concerned about that, or that folks attending NAMBA are concerned about it.
It's a very difficult situation, because when you are a loan officer and every borrower matters big time, and it's very easy to cross over that line in terms of taking your realtor buddy to the ball game, or buying them dinner, or whatever thing of value you want to deal with. It can be a problem. So vendors don't see that. You can go to dinner with a vendor and like yippee-ki-yay, everything's great and so forth, and they're not dealing with the same restrictions. Lenders and loan officers are dealing with much more intense set of restrictions. And Mitch was saying that it's very easy to veer over that line sometimes, and it's very important for the compliance departments at lenders to continue to educate their loan officers about what works and what doesn't work. And there's always going to be somebody up the street who's doing something not copacetic. But you know what? We're in this for the long haul, and these are the rules, and you need to be educated about them.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit at the beginning about kind of creating homeownership opportunities and ensuring that, there are, particularly within minority or LMI, communities, that there's, um, you know, opportunities available. And so are people talking about programs that are driving that? Or is there, discussions around kind of special purpose programs or down payment assistance programs that are helping to drive that for companies? Anybody seeing success in that, or still kind of in the works?
It's still kind of in the works. You don't want to obviously have reverse discrimination, like, oh, this program is only for, Hispanics, or whatever it might be. But it's just a matter of educating loan officers, black, white, yellow, red, purple, about what programs that the lenders have, and be able to tell their borrowers, black, white, red, purple, yellow, whatever, about them. And just to be able to offer that and educate them. We also talked a fair amount about LO comp, something I talk about every once in a while in my commentary. But the LO comp is still an issue. And Mitch this morning was saying, he didn't see any structural changes to the LO comp rules in the next 2 or 3 years at least. So that, there's always somebody up the street, not only with a better price, but who's paying, more for originations than you are, or whatever it might be. And there are brokers out there who might have, you and I might work for the same broker shop, and maybe you charge 2 points fee and I only charge 1 point. And so when the leads come in, you see them first. And then if they balk at the price, then you're like, well, we have a special loan officer, Rob Chrisman, who's in our Detroit office, whatever. And I'd like to have you talk to him. He might be able to sharpen his pencil a little bit. And so within the same broker shop, they have different comp, and it's difficult to catch that kind of thing. So it's LO comp continues to be an issue out there.
It does. We talked about it with Director Chopra in Nashville as well. I think there's a couple of layers with LO comp, what you just talked about, and then just the fact that the current rule doesn't allow for LO comp to go lower, even when that amount could be passed on to the consumer, right? Even if it's in the benefit of the consumer, to have the compensation of the LO dropped, it's not allowed. And so we've kind of pushed on that some with him as well. His feedback to us at the time was it is not on his agenda to look at LO comp. And it sounds like Mitch Kiter's hearing the exact same thing, and ongoing conversation for us.
So why don't you talk for a little bit? I mean, what you just obviously headed up the TMC event in Nashville, and I know there might be some potential minor changes to scheduling at some point in the future, but what was your takeaway in terms of the information flow, the general event, the mood? And I have thoughts on the general mood as well, but what you asked me a very interesting question one night in Nashville, and that was how you judge the conference to be a success or not. So would you judge the TMC to be a success, and why? And what were you seeing behind the scenes?
Yeah, that's a great question. Way to throw my question back at me, Rob. No, I think our conference was absolutely a success. I mean, frankly, it was our largest conference by lender member number, by one number. So we're, as a whole, I think the conference was absolutely a success. I think it was also a success because of the energy that was there. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron, I think that the membership really had this kind of positivity around it. And I know there's some struggles that everybody's having. And so I don't know that it was really, us or our members not being real with what's happening in the marketplace. In fact, I think they were positive because they were all there to learn and grow together and try to find ways to invest in either technology, invest in their team, kind of, and so the positivity that I felt was really around most people. How do we rethink workflows? How do we rethink kind of our tech stack? How do we, look for new ways of generating revenue as well? And so, yeah, I think it was a huge success as a whole. I don't know. You said you had some thoughts on it, so I'd love to hear yours.
Doubts or thoughts?
Thoughts.
I will say that I do have the opportunity, and I'm fortunate to do some traveling and visit different groups around different parts of the nation, whether it's companies like last week I was at Supreme Lending in Dallas, or TMC, or here's NAMBA. As I'm seeing it now, frankly, certainly it's everybody loves to see one another. You have very long-standing friendships here. You have people who've known each other for 20 or 30 years. And some of them are friendly competitors, and others work with each other. Others, may not like the person, whatever it is. You're in the same room. And it's nice to see everybody. It's nice to, go to dinner or go out for a drink or whatever. And Nashville certainly has some loud venues to explore. I guess that's a politically correct term. But anyway, so you had this going on. So it's nice to see everybody. But there is this sense that I've been getting. Whereas it's nice to see everybody and you go out and have a good time, and you can, write off your drinks on your expense account or whatever the company's paying. When people are returning home, they're greeted with the reality of, okay, I've got to cut, 10% more of my workforce. We're heading into autumn and the inventory isn't there and interest rates are not coming down. And there's still somebody up the street with a better price. And I have certain portion of my loan officer staff has no deals, no locks. And so what do I do about that? And we don't want to cut more people, because if I start cutting more people, I'm cutting into people who have been with me 5 or 10 years. And so even though I go to these conferences and it's all, kind of fun and games, and you're dancing and taking shots or whatever, like going out to dinner, and like here, I was having breakfast with Mitch Kiter, and I mean, Mitch is like, I'm worried. Dave Stevens is like, it's going to be the worst winter and within the last 15 years. So you have that kind of reality that's really starting to set in with people. And so once again, it's nice to go to a conference and see everybody, but it's a tough environment, and there's no escaping that. And companies are either going to have to cut staff or be able to lower their, or either make more money or spend less, or save more and therefore spend less. So it's a harsh reality. It's harsh, and you hate to think, wow, there's some percentage of people who may be at the TMC event this week who I may not see in 6 or 7 months, but that could be the reality. So anyway, boy, I hate to be Debbie Downer here, but that's what I'm seeing out there.
You just totally stole my thunder. But that's okay. I still thought the event was a success, but you're right. In the grand,
it was a success. It was. Don't get me wrong. It was a wonderful success. Although I wish you had better snacks instead of the tropical fruit mix. Nut mix. Try to up the game there.
I'll work on that next time.
Yeah, could you please? But
I think you're spot on. I mean, I think obviously there are real challenges that our members and lenders across the country are looking at right now. I think for me, the value of TMC as a lender member myself, right, and then kind of stepping into this role has always been the energy that I got at conferences wasn't just about kind of connecting with friends. It was about understanding that there were people around me who I could bounce ideas off of, and I felt like I was better prepared to handle challenges that were in front of us, because I had a group of people around me that were dealing with the same thing, and we're trying to find, ways through it. And so, hope all of our members felt like that.
Yeah, I mean, there were some really good sessions during the event. For example, about how do we save money? What do we do about this? What do we do about that? And truly talking about the issues. And it's nice to see companies do that. And I think you provide a very good venue in terms of having that. And so it's like, all right, you know what, I can't do anything about interest rates, and I can't do anything about inventory, but here are ways that we can save money, or
Right.
here are programs that we are offering. And I'm not saying that companies are colluding, because that's not the case, but they're definitely sharing information that may help somebody in some other part of the nation, or if you can help somebody else in some other part of the nation help a borrower, what's wrong with that? So
Absolutely. We spent a lot of time in Nashville talking about kind of the cost of origination, and to your point, people are starting to look at how do we cut cost, or how do we find new outlets for raising revenue. Those are both real solutions that can help a company through these challenges that are in front of us. And so we spent a lot of time talking about different kind of different technology solutions, different workflows, different tools that can be leveraged, I guess, right? AI is kind of a buzzword right now, right? There's a lot of things that have been coming out with generative AI, and we can see kind of the evolution of that happening so quickly. There's a lot of lenders trying to find, how do I leverage this for our company, so that as an industry, we traditionally, as markets shift, right? If next year rates drop down and we have a wee bit of a refi boom, right? Companies
yeah,
need to deal and
sorry.
adjust. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, I was going to say, it's not all doom and gloom. The fact of the matter is that the purchase market continues to be strong, and yeah, we're not heading into a great purchase season in terms of autumn and winter, but you have, I think I mentioned this during one of the sessions, you've got $1 trillion of 30% credit card debt out there. And that is where loan officers, and that is where non-internet lenders, for lack of a better term, but anyway, good loan officers, good originators, whether they're brokers or for the credit union, banks, that is where they shine, in order to sit there and be financial counselors, debt counselors for their borrowers, and to be able to say, okay, let's take a look at this credit card debt, and let's take a look at your home equity line, and let's take a look at your first, and let's figure out what we can do here. And here's a program that we can help you on. And so to be able to do that, and there are, if you look at the refinance activity that's going on now around the nation, it's definitely cash out refis to help with those issues. And HELOCs and seconds are obviously doing well. And so, there is activity out there, and there are borrowers to be helped, and there are houses to be bought, and somebody's got to do it, right?
People are relocating, right? Life happens. There are things that are absolutely happening to kind of push that purchase market, but it's different than it has been in the past.
Nope, you're not gonna sit right there. We're gonna go to our gate and then we're gonna sit. That's what's happening. Okay.
So there are things that are pushing that purchase market forward, but there are it's not what it used to be. People are staying in their homes a lot longer because, as you mentioned, there's a giant portion of the market that has was there any discussion at NAMBA about kind of repurchases and, kind
About
of
what? About what?
about repurchases. In GSE. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Sure. Yeah. Basically I know I can't see all the chats or questions or anything because of the glare. So hopefully if something point comes up, let me know. Or even what time it is really. But the repurchases from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac continue to be a problem. Earlier this year, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae instituted a program, an enhanced quality control program, whereby instead of sampling 5 or 10% of production, I think they ramped it up to 20%, and kind of no prisoners, no holds barred kind of situation where the agencies genuinely are concerned about their counterparty risk going forward. Is that is Melissa and Rob's mortgage going to be in business in 6 months or a year? And if it's not in business, who are we going to go back against if something goes wrong with this loan? And so they've ramped up not only the sampling, but the attitude and the outlook in terms of that we have to protect ourselves. And so that is definitely being felt in the industry. And it's not like that's going to change anytime in the near future either.
I feel like it's almost the icing on the cake is the wrong term, but it really, there's so many other kind of fundamental challenges, and you add that on top of all of it, and it's definitely causing some squeeze. We do have a question in the chat that I'll share. It says, what are the defects of, I think that's Fannie, Freddie are seeing for buybacks, number 1, and number 2, are they tripping on performing loans?
So they're definitely forcing buybacks, repurchases, whatever the politically correct term is, of performing loans. In the event that they don't perform 6 months from now, and that company is going to be out of business. So if there is a problem with the appraisal, we think the appraisal is bad, or debt. The borrower bought a car 3 days before the loan funded, and the lender didn't catch it, and then a subsequent report showed that, then the agencies are coming back and saying, okay, time to buy this back. And they're not really open to indemnification so much. But if you are a small company dealing with buybacks, and you've got $300,000 buybacks, it can really turn the tide. I mean, you can save as many pennies as you want, but if you have an appraisal due to an appraisal problem or debt problem, and you have to buy that loan back, and suddenly you're selling it for 70 cents on the dollar, it's a sizable hit. And so we, as a lending industry, look at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and they're continuing to make money, billions every quarter. A lot of their counterparties, a lot of the clients are not, a lot of the clients are just getting by, but they are going to continue to do that. There's no sign of letting up at this point, unfortunately. I like that. Can't we end on something good, heartwarming? Melissa, are you going to go out and buy a new puppy this weekend or something? Or
I am not. I am going to golf tomorrow. So I don't know, maybe, maybe there'll be some
I'm
positive.
stunned. I'm
I
stunned.
have no idea.
You're going golfing? Oh my gosh.
Shocking.
Shocking.
What about you? What are you doing this weekend?
I hope to get caught up on my sleep, and I hope to get on my bike. I might play tennis with my tennis partner with a platinum or titanium post for a leg. I don't know. I just kind of hope to do the laundry and go to the dry cleaners and run some errands and whatever. So I'd probably go to a little place, Truckee, for a couple of days. I know it's another week of travel next week. So anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I have to go get on this airplane.
I know you have to go get on the airplane. It's also right at time. So Rob, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing everything that you've the big items that you heard at NAMBA. as well as TMC. And happy Friday, everybody. We will see you next week.
Remember, Melissa, drive for show, putt for doubt.
I will do my best.
There you go. All right. See you later.
Bye, everybody.